Yes, friends, I hope you are enjoying your weekend. Yesterday, somebody asked me a question that how do I really become a good real estate developer, or how do I really start a portfolio that could really be very fruitful for me in short and in the long run. So I told him the same thing I tell my other friends that, if you really want to learn about real estate without really going through any gimmicks and paying any money or wasting, your time or anybody's time, you can do research online nowadays. There's a lot of research available. But if you really want to know what I have to say, then please do go to my YouTube channel, which is there are two YouTube channels I have. One is Rich VMAX slash YouTube, and then the other one is Rashid Sheikh ZTV at YouTube. So you can watch my channels and you can really learn a lot of different strategies from really how to start and then how to really develop a comprehensive real estate portfolio. Not only that, I actually also talk about, overall business strategies and entrepreneurship and pitfalls in entrepreneurship, that what really you should avoid, and lesson learned not just from successes but failures, because honestly you learn more lessons when you fail. You might ask why. Because you are more grounded, you listen more, you analyze your situation better. Because when you're successful, you can learn a lot, but unfortunately you do not analyze your situation that well because you don't have that much time. But when you fail, you do have a lot of time on your hand, and you basically then realize what not to do. So I have gone through failures and successes, and then I also like to see a process, a method of every madness, and I try to share that process with you. And then when you can, develop a process, then you can develop a protocol, and then you can automate it. And that's really how you develop a narrative strategy to share with others. And that's exactly what I do here. That I like to share my failures and successes with you. And honestly, the idea is to basically we learn from each other. And I started these podcasts to really share my learnings and also learn from your failures and successes, your stories, your questions. So feel free to send me a private message if you want to share your story, and we'll be happy to do a joint podcast with you. But today, really, I want to highlight few things which you should and should not do if you really want to start a real estate portfolio. So, if you want to really start a real estate portfolio, I am not going to tell you, oh, you can start for zero money, you can use, OPM, other people's money. I'm not going to tell you that, because I believe that any business you want to start, you gotta be really a little bit serious about it, and you need to allocate some budget for it. There is really no ifs and buts about it. Yes, you can use your equity, your home equity line of credit. You can use your leverage, your bank relations. You can utilize your friends network. You can do all that. But first, you need to understand that what are you willing to do yourself, how much time you want to dedicate, how much attention you want to dedicate, and how much money really you want to dedicate to develop a portfolio. Now, today we are going to focus a little bit on real estate side, even though there are many businesses we can talk just like that. And then there are many overall strategies we can talk about in any industry, and that could be applicable to your situation. But let's just focus on that you want to start, a portfolio in real estate that you can do, either as a passive income or active income. Passive income means that you already have another job, another business, but you are passionate about developing a real estate portfolio, and you want to really, you take some actions to start a portfolio. Whereas the active is that basically you really have left your job and now you are doing some business, you're an entrepreneur, and you want to really go with your time and your money, and you want to actively heavily get involved and develop a real estate portfolio. So you could do that too, and that's kind of some people like me. However, if you want to do it passively, you got to really, in both cases, you got to really see what is your budget, short-term budget and long-term budget, and what is your time commitment. And now, if you say, okay, well, my short-term budget is that I have $50,000 and I want to start a portfolio with $50,000. Or you could say I have $500,000. Or you can say you have $5 million. It really depends on how much money you have and how much time you have. These are the two things: money and time. And then how much you know about an industry. So anything you do, whether you start a real estate portfolio or you start, a stock portfolio, my advice is you got to learn. Don't just go with hearsay. You got to do a little bit of, search and, educate yourself. So three things: time commitment, money commitment, and research and education. Nowadays, research and learning is very easy. That's how I learn. I mean, I have not worked under anyone to become a real estate developer. I'm an engineer. I, basically know some, basic engineering principle. I built my own house myself. I mean, I did a fixer-upper, and that's how I learn. I hire teams, and also I dedicated some budget and I dedicated some time. And if you dedicate your time, budget, and attention, then you can do that too. Yes, there are, whenever you start a business, there is always a chance of a failure. If you want to start a business and you're afraid of, losing, then I'm sorry, you're not the right entrepreneur. If you are an entrepreneur at heart, then you should be ready for failures and successes. If you fail, you still succeed in the long run. If you fail, you still succeed in the long run. And if you succeed in your first gig, good for you. But it's okay. Don't be afraid of failing. Then the other thing people tell you, oh, this is not a good time. I am sorry. No time is bad time for starting a business. I just don't believe this is, no, time could be better, but it is never a bad time. I don't just believe in that. If you really believe in your skills, believe in yourself, and have the passion, have the time, and allocate the budget, yes, you can start small. You don't have to start with millions and millions of dollars. You can start with 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000, whatever your appetite is. So let's suppose you only want to start with $50,000, then of course, you have some leverage, and you could buy, only a couple of $100,000, or even you can probably buy up to half of, excuse me, you can buy, if it's only 5%, you could buy like $1 million property with the leverage, or you can buy $500,000 property, depending on what bank leverage you have, or you can buy few $100,000, property. I would say that you don't use all of your leverage. Try to put 20% down, and buy a property, and just then what's the process? Well, you could just do a search yourself, or you can have few real estate agents who could find a property, and you need to build a criteria. My criteria always that you want to really, if you want to start a business, it should be under your nose. It should be in the close proximity, an area you already know, so you can easily access that area. Buy a small property, fix up fix it up, and then you can either sell it or you can rent it. Or rent could be your backup plan, that you want to buy a property for $200,000, you fix it up, and if you can sell for 300,000, you spend 50,000, you made 50,000. Hey, that's great. And then you can start a next. But if, for example, you are not able to sell because if this market is not, seller's market, that's fine. You can rent it. But what you need to do is you need to actually run your numbers. You need to first see that is it going to cash flow? It's going to have a positive cash flow. If you bought a $200,000 property and you got a $150,000 loan, then basically at 6%, you are paying, $9,000. Again, you can do your math. And if you're doing a $9,000 interest and you actually are then paying taxes. Let's suppose you're paying, you know, $2,000 taxes, that's $11,000. And then you have to really look at, some other, if you are paying for the utilities, most likely as a landlord, you're not paying for utilities, but you have to buy insurance. Let's say you pay $500 for insurance. So the total expense is 11,500. Now, let's say you are doing some maintenance, you got to put some budget, that's $12,000. Now, if you are getting a $2,000 a month rent, you're getting $24,000, and now you have $12,000 expenses. Wow, you have $12,000 really in your positive cash flow. That's a great cash flow. That's a great cash flow. The second really test is that what kind of return does it have? If you are getting, $12,000 a year in $200,000 property, I mean that's not a bad return. As long as you get, 10% double digit is great. But if you are even getting, and that means, 10-year return, but even if you are getting somewhere between 5 to 10%, that is great, because it's your first real estate gig. In the long run, you could even have more. But now, if you go to any bank and you put your money, you're not going to get even 2, 3%. Yes, if you put in the long term, you make it maximum 4, 5% if you're lucky. But then you are not actually increasing the value of your asset, because, like, likelihood is, if you bought a $200,000 property today, on one hand, you're taking depreciation benefit in your taxes, in your cash flow, and on the other hand, the property values are actually increasing. Now, 10 years from now, I mean, you can't show me a property which you bought 10 years ago for 200,000 and it's not at least doubled. So, you paid off through your, your mortgage. You paid it off through the rent, and you also made positive cash. That's great. If you can paying off a property in 10 years and you are also making $10,000 a year, you made $100,000, and you're doubling your property value. So you double the property value, that's 200,000. You made 100,000, and that's $300,000, and you also got your money back of 130. That's a $450,000 return for $50,000 in 10 years. I mean, again, I'm showing you a very, very good perspective. But even if you have the worst case scenario, I have not seen in the long run people losing money like the way they lose in stock market. I've seen people who actually buy stocks and they are very, very happy, and it, double in few days. And then I also have seen them crying when they actually go zero. So those kind of risky investment you can do. You can actually balance your portfolio and can do risky investment too. I have done in my life too, but I just at this age, this time and age, I just don't have time. Since I don't have time to manage my portfolio, I don't do stock market at this point. But I could actually also balance it too. So if you have especially risky investment, stock portfolio, and especially, crypto stocks, then you must do some less risky long term, like a real estate portfolio. That is my advice for today. So all I would say is I only give you one small example. As we move forward, I will give you other examples, with, multifamily, and then how do you really build or create wealth, giving you cascade, you know, 1 and 2 and 3. I'll give you a cascade effect, that how do you really generate wealth. But today, since it's a weekend, I don't want to be heavy. If you want to start a real estate portfolio, please go ahead and watch. I have lots and lots of videos on each topic, on cash flow, on finances, on strategy. How do you start? How do you buy? How do you sell? How do you fix it? How do you rent it? How do you turn it around? I have all those videos, and then I have also videos on overall strategy, negotiation, change management, portfolio management. Feel free to watch these videos and give me your comments. Until then, have a great time and great life. Thank you.